I was in a close contact with a guy, and he had me dead to right. Everything just slowed down, and I was kind of went into this flow state. We're there to rise above the chaos and the psychopaths that are out there. I got to see the spike in the IED, so they're changing tactics by the enemy. Yeah. I was riding around on a six-wheel motorbike with a dog box on the back. I've carried a couple of coffins, and with your mates, you remain staunch for carrying the coffins of the dogs. It just broke me. They've just been chosen because they're awesome, and so they're there for us. Yeah, you're feeling the voice now.
Welcome back to part 2 of my chat with former SAS operative who goes by the nickname of Horse. If you listen to part 1, we spoke about Horse's time in the SAS and his involvement in the Afghanistan war. It was a pretty heavy discussion even for this podcast. In part 2, he talks about his life post-military. We talk about his time in Africa working with anti-poaching units, his work in the Ukraine providing security for volunteer doctors close to the front line. We also talked about the findings from the Royal Commission into Defence and Veteran Suicide, and his own battles with PTSD. I can't believe the things Horse has done. Have a listen to part 2 of my chat with him. Horse, welcome back to I Catch Killers.
Geez, mate, you had a nice little walk with the dogs.
Yeah, the dogs did their exercise. They seem to be sleeping now, so they've got it out. They've had their little rumble in the park, which was good. Spike needs the exercise.
Yes, don't we all?
We left part 1. We were talking about your time in Afghanistan and your service. When you finally decided to get out of the military, what brought that on?
I think I was starting to get tired. I had double hip replacement. Yeah. And that took the wind out of my sails a bit. Even though I was a patrol commander, but I felt myself getting a little bit stale. And with that impact there, I thought maybe it's time to leave, and I'm going to leave on a high note, because you don't want to be one of those old crusty guys that are bitter and twisted and just a dinosaur that's hanging around getting in everyone's way.
Yeah.
So I thought I'll leave on a high note.
Okay.
And I went to the UAE doing that, a contract for their Special Operations Command.
Yep.
Under Mike Hindmarsh as a trainer.
Did you, when you left, did you feel like you left your tribe? Was it confronting for you? You've been such an intense period of time in your life.
Yeah. And so that was really, it was quite a big day, and going. I think it was a soft landing though, because there was a lot of guys in the UAE that I knew, and so it was a similar tribe, and so it was what I call a soft landing.
Yeah.
But I think the significance of it really eluded me for many years, and even when I left the UAE, and my life sort of went down took a downward spiral, and it was just those imperceptible. Yeah, slippery slope. I don't know. It's okay. I won't go training today. I won't do that. And then next thing you know, you're sitting in the gutter.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about that. I'm sorry bringing it up, but we'll talk about.
I'm okay to speak about it. And I think it's important to let people know that somebody that's been at the tip of the spear, that can happen to them, so it can happen to anyone.
I think that's an important message. But before we talk about the mental well-being and emotional well-being, just your 2 hip replacements, something that I don't think people appreciate too, the life of a soldier as an infantry or a special forces operator takes its toll physically on the body. Yeah.
So you're doing a lot of kilometres carrying some silly things. And I have no regrets either. I just want to make sure everyone knows that this is... And I'd do it all again. The only regret I've got is one of those movers. I didn't lead them enough, but joking. Maybe.
Yeah.
So it's quite intense, and we've had the Australian Institute of Sport come over and have a look at us, and so you're expected to be dynamic and go over walls carrying heavy loads. You got to sprint, and then you've got to calm yourself down and find motor skills to take those shots, as well as complex or decision making in complex environments. And so having that smarts and that level headedness and peak in state management, plus then you've got to be expected to walk 10 kilometres into the target, 10 kilometres out under night vision goggles over uneven ground, looking for threats all the way.
And what sort of weight are we carrying when you're doing this with your armour and your weapons? And
it's easy 30 kilos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you start to get live ammo in there, so, bombs, some comms fit, some water, a little bit of food, a bit extra for him.
Yeah.
Helmets, body armour, pistol on there, some grenades, your med kit. A combat load really does add up.
Yeah, and for anyone that doesn't really appreciate it, put a 30-kilo weight vest on, and this is what you're getting round and moving dynamic, as you said, and throwing yourself on the ground and jumping over things, and it has to take its toll. Yeah,
it does, and so like there's some guys that are lucky and their body just sort of eats it up, and then there's others that you just wear out, and I actually I took the yoga up when I was doing the wrestling, and I kept that up throughout my military career, and I think that kept me on the playing field.
Saviour for you.
Kept me on the playing field a lot longer than I normally would have.
Yeah.
I think my career would have finished a bit sooner, and so that yin and the yang, that balancing, sort of helped me keep going.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so what year did you leave the military?
End of 2015.
Okay. And you did some work over in the UAE.
Yeah.
And that was a soft landing, in that you've gone from an environment you knew very well into an environment where you knew people. And I would imagine part of it is that your reputation was intact too. They knew your skill level. And it's not like you went from, at the tip of the spear in the Tier 1 Special Forces to an area where no one even appreciated the skill set that you had, but going to the UAE would have allowed you to still demonstrate those skills. Am I reading it right?
Yeah, and it's a similar environment.
Yeah.
You're just training different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You talked about the spiral. What happened there?
Yeah, so I think I put my dog down in my working dog. I took him over with me in early 2017. He was just shy of 15, so he had a pretty good innings.
Okay.
The old boy.
Yeah.
And I've got out of there and then moved to Europe to be closer to my daughter in Sweden, and I wasn't getting to see her, along with a bit of chronic pain from injuries and stuff like that, and the isolation, and then started to smoke a little bit of meth and then a little bit more.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's it. And so I was just checking out basically, and then I ended up doing a bit of an overnighter in jail over there.
Overseas?
Overseas. And that was in early 2020. So sitting there going, geez, how did I end up here? And then I I chose this, decisions. And so it's time to get my life back together. And so I had to leave Sweden. I was trying to be a father to my daughter, but I just became
How old was she at the time?
She was 8.
Yeah, that's difficult.
14.
So you're ticking off all the factors that could come into play. You're
isolated,
different
career, culture, and a career.
Injuries, lost, putting the dog down.
Yep. Yeah.
Just a spiral,
and you just don't recognise it. I'm over there to be with my daughter. I'm not getting to see her.
Yeah.
I'm applying for jobs. Defence jobs with Saab and everything. I just couldn't get work. Wasn't getting any replies, and just gradually checked out. But I was working with autistic kids, which was a highlight. And then in between times, I would pick up some work in Africa.
What skill set did you bring with autistic kids? What was that? How did you get involved in that?
So when you think about it, all of the training of people that I've done with the military and the dog training, all of the principles apply across the board to kids and the autistic kids. And I think I brought my experiences from my childhood and how I was treated, because I was a bit different, and these kids are just a bit different.
Yeah.
And so that's what I brought with it. And also, I was offering a strong male role model. And so there was also, we were just part of a larger school, the autistic space. And so I saw a lot of the young fellas gravitating towards me as well, because they're told that this is terrible. This is it's toxic masculinity, where this is just being a man and getting out there after it. You saw all the achievements, and I think that there's nothing bad in there.
No.
Society's telling them that they can't be that, and I think it resonated with those young boys, and so they would gravitate towards me, and actually taking that step back and watching them do dumb things. Now, we're being watched. No, keep going, fellas. We'll just go until somebody hurts themselves, because why would you stop? It's all fun and games, and it is.
What brought you to that level where you're going to start smoking some ice?
Yeah, exactly. So just checking out.
Yeah. It was escapism, was it?
Escaping.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I was just checking out. So obviously there's a bit of chronic pain, everything.
Yeah.
And that is all chronic stress. And so each one of them on their own, okay, so the analogy I use is, you got a backpack and there's a rock of stress and there's another rock of stress, and even just a couple, you can't carry that forever. It just keeps on grinding you down, and then you put another one. It just grinds you down and you don't even realise it. And I just started checking out, and then obviously got myself into a spot of bother.
You're hitting a low point there. How did you reconcile with yourself that you were going to turn this around, or you didn't care, or what? How low did you have to go?
Yeah, so I guess we all have our different low point, and mine I was probably fortunate that I still had the capacity to come back to Australia. But that is my low point. So some others are lower than others. And so I got a scholarship, came for the MBA, and came back to Australia. And that was when COVID kicked in, came back and did the MBA. It sort of helped straighten me out. But there's still been a struggle ongoing for quite some time. And so you get on it, off again, on it, off again. And so
you can see it coming now, but you can identify if you are spiralling or slipping down?
Yeah, so I've recently had ankle fusion, now second one, because the first one I stuffed up was all of a sudden disabled, and then got on it again and stuffed the whole surgery up.
Well done, horse.
Yeah, I know.
Some lessons are hard learned.
Yeah. You really, really need to learn it properly. And so I've had the second one, and so that incapacity was also a big factor, and the pain and what it's led me down this pace of psychedelics.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah,
because you've recently tried that over in Mexico.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. It puts you into this other space.
Yeah,
and so I went to. You got to go to Mexico. It's illegal here. It's illegal in the States. So went over to San Diego, and then they tell a joke, they're smuggling an Australian into Mexico. It'd take you across the border, and 5 days, do a Mexican, like a sweat lodge, like the Indian sweat lodge, which is extremely unpleasant. You learn to lean into the problem, so you're not taking any medicines in that, leaning into it and going, okay, that's putting me into, I'm always checking out. And then, gratitude for what your family did do, not what they didn't do. So they get a couple of good things out of that. Basically, I got confronted with just all of that dumb stuff that I've been doing, whenever you're being a bad person or non-drugs, for 20 hours. It just played that.
It opens your mind up to all the traumas, all the bad shit just coming.
Now, and the thing is, we don't realise that we're functioning like that because it's just normal to us, and we think, oh, we're being normal. But you walk into a room and people look at you weird, and you probably relate to this.
I can relate to it, and I think I've spoken about it, but I always know that I'm not quite right when I've been, and you might be out on the job, for days or whatever. You come home and you're totally wired. You've been making decisions as in, bang, I need this done, I need that done, and you're wired like that. Then you come home to a social environment or any environment, and everyone seems to be at a different pace.
Yep.
And I had enough. I worked out over the years that, they're not all out of step. It's me out of step, and then sort of take myself away from it. And you talked about yoga. I did meditation years ago, and very early when I got in the cops, and I didn't understand. I was just drawn to it, like a thing called Qigong. Drawn to it. Didn't really get the benefits from it in the early years, but it's been a fallback position that I can go to when I do find myself spiraling, that I can just take myself away and slow things down.
Yeah, meditation is really does help. And I'm been a bit lazy with that myself too.
Yeah.
You sort of, when you do it, you can feel the benefits, and then you stop.
Well, I got to the point where I was thinking I had to meditate every day, and it became obsessive to the point where it's causing me stress because I hadn't meditated and there wasn't enough hours in the day. But now I use it as a tool when I need it. I can take a step away and do it. But I take on board what you're saying when you're at that heightened level, and how do you get rid of that? Yeah. But winding back,
you could imagine people growing up on the streets. They're at that heightened level all the time.
The whole time.
Yeah. And especially traumatized as children. And so you're functioning like that and reacting. You're not playing things out, like sorting things out in your brain. They're just a dog eat dog kind of mentality. And then that just gets a flow on, and that's how they live. And so this will allow, for recidivism, or anybody, so you don't have to be a copper or any first responders or special forces. It's got application for kids that have had traumatic childhoods, and or even anybody that's just suffered from violence. Will help them lower that and give them a bit more space to take stock of their life and or make better decisions on the spot.
The chaos that you could have caused if you didn't get yourself sorted out.
Yeah, well, I was going to die.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. And so that was where it was going to end. And so
die by misadventure or die by your own hands?
Well, I didn't have any suicidal ideation really, but misadventure or just shorten your life significantly through bad habits and just dumb stuff.
Yeah.
And then and I guess, even if you're just living in that space, that itself is killing yourself, because you have a look at what I have achieved and then what I was becoming. Yeah. That's a death, metaphorically speaking.
You've got to say no to some things, because sometimes you can dig yourself into a hole by keeping yourself too busy, and you don't work on yourself. That's something to be mindful of. Can we, it sort of leads well into the Royal Commission into Defence and Veteran Suicide. Yeah, what we're talking about here. That was a Royal Commission that ran over the last couple of years, and I think on the back of that Royal Commission there was 122 recommendations that came out. I know you've had a look at that and you're curious about it. What's your takeaway from what we learnt from the Royal Commission?
I think there's no surprises there.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people in defence have experienced all of this to one degree or another. And what led me down that pathway was the film. All the issues that we raise pretty much encapsulates all of your findings. And I think there's, with the film, we could really capitalise on that and bring it to the fore. And that's, I guess that's how we became connected as well, because I started chatting to Simon, who knows you, and I go, there's this correlation here with everything, and with my issues as well. I'm one of the lucky ones because I'm still alive and coming out the other side. But, you got a lot of people who got one mate who's killed himself as a result of the the investigations. He was put through the ringer, and he went in a flat spin out to sea and never recovered. And so how many are there? And living, even if they're not killing themselves, they're just living a lesser life than they could.
Yeah, and it's sad to see someone that's living a good life, and all of a sudden just let it destroy themselves.
Yeah. And so with that, I was sort of looking, okay, what can be done? And I don't have a lot of answers. I don't have any answers.
Do you think, you go through basic training, they break you down and teach you to be a soldier.
Yep.
And then when you leave the military, they don't invest as much time making you be a civilian, like as in leaving. Is there a space there to make the transition easier?
100%. And I think that was one of the recommendations is that third party or the independent body to monitor that, because I think they're just ticking boxes on the transition. So I've, as you said before, I got a private pilot's license, which I did while I was in the military, and I was investigating. Well, how about you help me get a professional pilot's license, and I got a career.
Yeah,
I've already got the runs on the board, so to speak, showing an interest. But there was nothing, no interest in that. So, that transition is really just box ticking, and I found it more frustrating than beneficial.
Yeah, well, the transition, I think so much more could be done, because, the saying in the police, there's nothing more X than an X, and you feel it. You've left your tribe. That's the people that you could relate to, the people that respected you, and you left. And the same with the military. But for all the building up to make you a useful soldier or a useful cop, and then at the end of it, it's just see you and march out, and that's the end of your policing or army career.
And the unique factors of the service which you've identified is you leave all of yourself at the door, and then you just totally invest yourself in the old army recruiting. It's more than just a job; it's a life, and it is. And we see in the film, the families are all part of that, and that's your whole network and your whole group. And then to be taken out of that, well, we know we evolved from hunter-gatherer tribes, and so when you're kicked out of the tribe or removed from the tribe, that's a death sentence, and so that really needs to be nurtured and managed a lot better than what we are doing. And we know the effects of all of that, and we've seen it time and time again. And you've got all the findings of the Royal Commission, and it's okay. So what? Yeah.
Well, it's about doing stuff and leadership. People would say, you spent so long in homicide, how'd you survive? And it wasn't going to the homicides that caused me drama. It wasn't the horrific scenes or chasing the crooks. It was leadership that caused me more frustration than anything in the police. And I get the sense, speaking to military guys, there's a lot of similarities there.
100%. And it's that administrative violence, I think, is the term that you coined.
Yeah.
And we've all experienced that, and we see different interpretation of the rules and just using it against people that basically the hierarchy are responsible. And once again, you get into the Defence Force, and then you have this trust in the system, and you hand over all responsibility to the hierarchy for your destiny a lot of the time, and they have a really unique responsibility, or there's that duty of care, and that duty of care is not being exercised by them. We see, with our case, with your case, you get thrown under the bus, and then sat off to the side and isolated, and they don't give a shit.
Well, I suppose, like with my case, I'm getting judged on how I investigated the abduction and suspected murder of a 3-year-old child that we still haven't found. What do people want me to do when I'm investigating that? Just walk up to people and say, "Hey, have you done this?" And they say no and move on. That's what frustrated me. Everything that I did in the investigation supported above, but when it blows up and there's some complaints or allegations, it's everyone just distanced themselves. And I thought leadership was about, I led in the police. I'd like to think that I tried to be the best leader I could, but I would look out for people under my command.
Those you're responsible for. That's how I saw it too.
Yeah, and I would accept if they're mistakes. I would often say to people that, if you make a genuine mistake, I'm going to support you 100%. Do it out of laziness, and the support's not going to be there. And that was the way I worked by. But leadership in the Army seemed to be lacking, and what you guys went through with the allegations of special forces, I would have thought there would be more people standing up supporting you within the military.
Yeah, once again, we had amazing leaders within there too. Burns is one of them. He's in our film. Masso and Weeksy, they're amazing leaders. But they seem to get marginalised, and then they end up just having enough and leaving as well. And so, you would think that the leadership have got this special forces unit that is doing amazing things, and we're, as I said, we're winning every fight and giving them every chance of success, that you would want to ride the coattails of that instead of extinguishing it. But I guess there's some sort of narcissistic stuff going on there, which you would have experienced, and just poor examples of leadership. And so, when there is rumours of something going wrong, then they just kick you to the curb and actually put a blanket allegation, perception on everybody, and it just doesn't really make sense, because at the end of the day, they are responsible for everything that goes on under their command.
Well,
so to pick and choose, you don't get that choice. And so, when I was patrol commander, everything good that happened within the patrol was well done to patrol, and anything that bad, it was like, well, that's on me.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's leadership. I get the sense, and this is me looking from the outside, no internal knowledge, but I get the sense from what you guys went through. If there were no allegations or nothing blew up, the very people that are now distancing themselves from you would have been standing there beside you, all proud and giving themselves pats on the back and look what we did. But because there was allegations, they distanced themselves, and if they are leaders, they know what's going on underneath.
Well, they were happy to give themselves medals for everything over there too. And then,
I think there was a parliamentary inquiry into it, or question times in Parliament, and there was a politician, I think it was David Shoebridge, that asked the question of a senior military figure. Well, you've got the medals for this deployment. Should you give the medals back? And no, are you responsible for what's happened over there? No, I wasn't. I wasn't responsible because I didn't have control. Well, therefore, why are you wearing the medals?
Yeah.
And that's not the verbatim, but that was the gist of the line of questioning, and it makes sense.
And it really encapsulates everything you've been talking about.
Yeah.
I'll take the good times, and then the bad times are not my responsibility.
Distance ourselves from it. We jumped past the wildlife protection over in Africa. Tell us about that.
So I'm working with a company called Melivora Systems, and it's a veteran-run organisation. He's ex-Australian military as well. He lives over there, and what we do is mentor local wildlife rangers. And so we'll go over there and run training for them, and I run a lot of mission planning and appreciation. And so recently I was in South Sudan, and so in 7 weeks I had them in 7 weeks we had them running, I'd give them a warning order. Okay, this is what we got out on the ground. These are the issues, and then they would do an appreciation process, course of action development. Brief me back, we choose a course of action that's appropriate. They go and write the orders, deliver the orders, and run the mission.
Okay, and poaching. This is tell us about the environment, because this is hardcore.
Yeah, so it's some of the most special forces stuff I've done.
Yeah,
because you're out there living in the park with these guys running, essentially it's almost a paramilitary unit against these guys who are out there poaching bushmeat, obviously rhinos and elephant horns, to get money back. So some of them are just doing it for survival, but obviously you've got the international factors coming in and paying them big money, and so of course when you're subsistence, you're going to go for it. So there is that humanitarian issue that you've got. I can't blame these guys.
Yeah.
We've still got to break back on this.
And it can be a violent environment.
Yeah, it is definitely violent environment. Yeah. So everybody's carrying guns, which I'm quite comfortable with.
Yeah.
But going out there and being able to de-escalate the situation is some of the most rewarding times I've had.
You got an example? Or?
Well, yeah. So even like just recently, we've got warring tribes within South Sudan, and everybody's scared of these. They're called Murali, and they got a really bad reputation. Although they live off the land and they just carry guns and as much guns and ammo as they can. But then they're in the neighbourhood and actually in our park near the headquarters, and they're like, "Quick, get the guns out! Everybody, get up, ready to defend." Hang on a second. Let's go and chat to them. So one of the locals that we had working for us, I put our guns down and went out. Just went out their hands up.
Yeah,
they're all pointing guns at us. So it's not exactly comfortable, and you're sort of thinking those safety sears aren't really that effective on that old bit of kit, and that itchy trigger is actually there's the fingers on the trigger. But their leader had his gun slung, and so we were able to have that conversation. Go, you know who we are. You know who you are. You're welcome here. There's come and take water. There'll be no fighting on our lands, and we were able to have that conversation, and everything just de-escalated, and they were really happy with it because they're all used to just shooting first and ask questions later. It's like gangbangers basically.
Yeah.
And so being able to just actually do that was so rewarding, and then that's the first step in getting a bit of a flow on and establishing that credibility for you being in their area where they live off the land, and now we're telling them no hunting here. So we've got to have a bit of give back, and then we ended up doing some medical clinics in the villages and engaging with the locals, and actually got to repair some wells, which then some of the NGO people who were responsible for all that got pissed off at me because that was their job, and I'm out NGOing the NGOs.
Right.
Because they don't want us here because we're baby killers also. So there's that perception. What do we need them here? We're spending too much money.
They're referring to you like mercs basically coming in.
That was how they saw us. Then we started using my guys, the rangers, for these tasks and work because we teach them first aid, and so we're engaging with the communities in providing first aid and a little bit of protection to them, and so we're getting the locals on board. So that was some of the most rewarding things I've done for many years.
I would imagine it would be rewarding. Like it's worthwhile service in a war zone, like when you're deployed to Afghanistan and you're doing the work asked of you by the government. I would imagine going from that environment and then doing something like wildlife, because it's basically about wildlife protection, but you've opened it up even more if you're helping villages and a little bit of medical and then water systems and different things. That must give you a real balance out. You mentioned the yin and yang. Wars, people are going to die in war. That's the business of war. But doing something like that, did you find that was good for your soul?
Oh, well, when I come back from doing that, people are... I'm like I am now.
Yeah.
It's just wholesome, and maybe that's where I belong, doing that stuff. And so, you feel good, and being able to. So I've got the martial skills to back it up. That because I've been downrange and seen war, and if we don't want that, and having those martial skills to back it up, and that I guess once again we're selected on intelligence and our problem solving skills and our ability to engage with all different people from around the world, being able to do that and actually assess, okay, what's the issue here and what do we need to do to solve it?
Yes.
We don't always resort to that war or guns. We don't just have a hammer. We got many tools in our toolbox.
Because people see, like you said, the martial skills that allows you to do the work that you do. People see it as an either or. You're a soldier or you're something that NGO doing some good for communities. But quite often the martial skills allow you to do the work, the other work that you're doing.
Being a true warrior is having that capacity to, you've got to, what is it, the meek will inherit the earth. Well, they're not talking about being meek and allowing everything. The meek are the ones that leave their sword in the scabbard and go and work out other ways to move forward into the future. So if you start pulling that sword out every time, nobody evolves, nobody goes anywhere. And so I find it much more rewarding when you don't have to pull that trigger.
Well, you're giving a bit of insight into the makeup that is required of people in the SAS. And what's the attributes that you think make a good Special Forces soldier or someone capable of fitting into the SAS?
I think emotional intelligence is number one.
Okay, now no one would have guessed that, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, understanding who you are and that empathy is a big one too. You're going into, you're offshore and even onshore, there's problems that if you have an empathy, as you said, you understand the position of some of the crooks and crims, you're like, far out. And you're going to approach that problem in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so once you start to understand the other people who you're dealing with, then you've got a much better chance of working towards a solution or resolution as opposed to just, righto, we're going to hit force with force. We learn that in jiu-jitsu. It's much better to do a flanker than up your guts with lots of smoke.
Yeah. Well, emotional intelligence, and that's the type of thing that they're looking for with people that get to that level. And I would imagine, warfare, it's a changing world in warfare, isn't it? It scares me, the capability of drones and everything that's going on there. Do you still see a role for Special Forces soldiers in the future?
I still think you need, boots on the ground at the end of the day. It's but the drone space is a really interesting one. Drones these days will take out an SF team. It's a no competition really, with all of the optics and capabilities they've got.
Yes.
A lot of the time the teams can't even reach out and touch them. And even at the tactical level, you've got all those small drones. Half a dozen of them.
I've seen footage of a drone chasing someone.
Yeah.
To take them out.
That's it.
It's
and your standard little DJI, it's got that capability to follow a person to do selfies. So, then you put a bomb in that thing and it's good not
it's pretty simple technology by today's standards, isn't it?
Yeah, and anybody that's gone clay shooting, and you've got a shotgun, it's hard to hit a clay target, and then that thing's going to maneuver and chase you. It's and then you have multiple of them. That's
and it might change the potentially power base too. It's not the biggest army anymore.
There's a couple of things on that. So now you're going to fight wars with drones, so it's much more palatable to fight a war because we're not losing anybody. So there is that one issue, and also, back in traditionally, the bigger your population, the bigger your army, and so the bigger your army, the better chance you got of winning. Well, now this technology is coming into this whole space. Then you've got. Well, now maybe Singapore, who's got technology, is a potential for
world power.
World power. It's going to change that dynamic on the battle space. At the end of the day, you still have to have boots on the ground to occupy and manage things. And so I think Special Forces certainly does have a role.
That's part of the makeup of SAS, is that it continued to evolve to fit into whatever environment they might need to fight in.
Yeah, and I guess, and also preparing for a black swan.
Yeah.
if you just don't know. Who would have who did see 9/11 coming?
Yeah. Well, that changed the landscape. When you were in the army at that time, when that happened, did you realise your life was going to change so dramatically?
Yeah. Rich thought, okay, job's on.
Yeah.
Actually, ironically, I was in East Timor at the time, and I was on actually guard duty on the front gate of the little base at Bobonaro. So I guess I joked that it happened on my watch too.
Good one. Now we know.
I know, right?
Yeah. Now we know who to blame.
Because I came off the guard duty and looking at the screen in the lunchroom, going, "What's what's going on there?" There's planes flying into a building. So that changed the world.
Did that change the mentality of everyone in the army at that? Now the training became very real. Did the tempo up?
It certainly made it real. So Timor kind of made it real, but then okay, this is next level now.
Yeah.
Now and then obviously Iraq and then Afghanistan. This is something real, and some of the guys captured it in bravery and betrayal. Actually, it was one of the sons, Keegan.
Yeah.
The feeling sending Dad off to East Timor was different to sending Dad off to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And so, it made it a bit more real.
Bit real.
Yeah. And, it's a significant increase in the threat.
You've relatively recent also been across to the Ukraine, security for doctors getting to hospitals near the front line. Again, that's the way I see it. That's balancing out, or not balancing, but it's a real yin yang thing. You're helping people and getting medical support into a war zone. How was that as an experience?
That was really interesting because I was not armed.
Yep.
And actually, it's quite safe. I think within Ukraine, if I was getting around armed, I might have got myself into more trouble than not being armed. And so, just recognising that's important. But coming from the across the Polish border, having a look at all of the 82nd Airborne HIMARS pointed eastward, and all the hardware going on over there was interesting. But then going forward to, I think we were in 15 kilometres of the front line. Now, these hospitals that I was escorting surgeons to have been functioning like that since 2014.
Right.
When the I think the Donetsk People's Republic, the Luhansk People's Republic, and Crimea all had referendums to leave Ukraine, because there's a lot of corruption there, and I think it's to be expected because they've only had sovereignty since 1991. Yeah, and so there's going to be that power struggle, and I see that throughout Africa. When the colonial powers pull out, there's this power vacuum, and well, what do we do with this? And so they're all just power, vying for power corrupts. And so, when you got a government that doesn't hand out money to the regions, and Australia did that with New Guinea too. We just pulled out and virtue signaled to the world, hey, we've given it to them. But if you slowly withdraw and enable the locals and build them up, then it's a nice way to do it, instead of just pulling out and going, look at us, aren't we awesome? You
acknowledge as a soldier, you sign up and, military, you can be ordered, this is how we're going to use you. For whatever reason, that might be something you personally don't agree with, but you accept that's part of signing up for the military. Is that correct?
That's correct. And so, once again, it's that unique factors of service. You give... You join. You leave all that. You leave that. You
join the army. You leave your civilian life.
Yeah. And if you do have a big issue with it, then you get out.
Yep. Reflections of your time in service in Afghanistan and the time in the military. Do you look back at it with pride?
Yeah. Some of the fondest times of my life. I often wish that I could do it again.
Yeah, we all want that horse. I'd like to start again and do it all again. But
my brain thinks I'm 21, but my body thinks I'm an idiot. So.
Just listen to your brain. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
You do look back at it, and you've paid the price emotionally, physically, and everything that you've been through. But you look back at your service with pride.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, just great pride, and I'm really glad that I got the opportunity. And I do promote the idea of anybody else that's considering getting into the Defence Force to go for it.
Yeah.
And again, I achieved amazing things in there, and it set me up well. And I've got some lifetime friends forged in fire, and yeah, they were great times, and I'm thankful that I got that opportunity. And so I say there's no greater calling than to be of service, and as long as people serve, not take.
Yep. Interesting.
So when you are joining up, go in with your eyes wide open. You know, once again, we saw what they did to the Vietnam vets.
Yep.
Still joined up, and so what they're doing to us, and let that put you off. But go in with your eyes wide open, and now here we are with a film. So I'm hoping that that'll raise the awareness in the Australian public, so that we can take steps to ensure that it doesn't happen to the next generation.
And and part of the motive, as I understand it, for the film is to make sure your story, as in collectively, everyone that was involved in this story, that comes across. You would hope that these allegations about war crimes and be resolved sooner rather than later, because people's lives are on hold. Yeah.
So, and that was when we recently did a screening at Parliament House, and that's one of our big things is, okay, this has been going on for 10 years. Now, I'm not a lawyer or been involved in policing, but I'm pretty sure that these things shouldn't get dragged on that long. And if there's anything there, it should be finalised. Charges, put up or shut up.
Yeah.
'Cause we've got ex-military people from the UK that the island conflict. They've got allegations hanging over their head, and I think a guy just died recently. For 50 years, he died with those allegations. So, imagine living with that. So that's got to shorten your life. And the impact it has not only on the person that's under charges, but the flow-on effect to the families. And I think one of the findings on the Royal Commission into Suicide is anybody that comes into contact with the justice system, it does have a psychological impact, and the longer you are under in contact with that and under investigation, the greater the effect. And so then we're talking about suicidality, and not only that trauma that you're passing on to your family and then the community. And we got not only that, then you've got kids coming home from school being teased that their dad's a war criminal as well.
Yeah, it's far-reaching, isn't it? And I sit here and say I hope they get it resolved sooner than later, because I think it's just a living hell and nightmare that these people are going through. And it's guys. Shit happens. I know who I want going to defending our country. It's get all you blokes together defending the country. And I think we've got to accept that it's an environment that, unless you've been there, you don't understand what goes on.
Yeah, it's quite complex. So I have been to Ukraine, and so I have an opinion on that. And people ask me about Gaza, and I say, I haven't been there, so I don't have an opinion.
All right. Well, we might wrap it up. I just to see Bravery and Betrayal, the documentary. I know it's still touring around the country. If people are interested in seeing it, and I thoroughly recommend it, and certainly expanding on what we've talked about here, and some really interesting and heavy emotional stuff that comes out in the documentary. How can people find out where they can see it?
So get onto the Wandering Warriors website. Now they're another veteran or support organisation who they're involved with education. But I guess we need to say that the film was actually done on donations from the Australian public. So thank you to all those people, and managed by Wandering Warriors. Big shout out to them as well. So Wandering Warriors and the Bravery and Betrayal Tour 2.0, backed by popular demand. You see all the tour dates and locations.
Excellent. All right, well, before I wrap it up, you reckon Spike's got what it takes to get through the selection course in the SAS?
I don't know if either of these dogs have.
Okay. Sorry, Spike. We'll get you a gig somewhere else. Horse, thank you so much for coming on today. And I have total respect for the services that you've given to the country, and talking about the things that you're talking about. Total respect from my end, mate. And I hope all the best for the future. And what you're doing, you should be proud of yourself.
Likewise, thank you, and total respect for you and your history as well. So, did a little bit of research before I got here, and I was pretty much ignorant of who you were and
don't
what
believe
you've done.
all the headlines.
No, I'm familiar with the media.
Yeah.
But reading between the lines there. Thank you for what you've been doing while we've been here, while we've been doing it overseas. So, takes all of us, and so thank you.
Good stuff. Thanks, Horse.
Thanks for having me on.